And the winner of the Her Sport Team of the Year, sponsored by 3, is the Irish soccer team. We're delighted to be joined by Áine O'Gorman, who will accept this award on behalf of the team. So well done, Áine. I'll get you to take a seat, and I'll just ask Lisa Fallon to come up as well to join us. Great to have you both. Thanks for joining us this evening. Áine, well done. You're getting used to collecting these awards now, but just explain to us what the last few months have been like for you personally and your family since Ireland have qualified for the World Cup.
Yeah, to be honest, I think it's still very surreal. It's still kind of hard to believe that we're finally going to a World Cup. I think it's something that we've all dreamed of as a kid growing up. Anyone that plays football dreams of playing in the World Cup, and obviously now to qualify and live that dream is pretty amazing. 2022 has been obviously an unbelievable year for that, and now I think it's kind of relieved that we're in 2023 now and we're finally preparing to go to Australia this summer.
We heard Amy speaking about writing that letter when she was 11-year-old about wanting to win an Olympic gold medal. Had you that ambition as a child for a World Cup? Was that one of your dreams that you hoped you would get to?
Yeah, definitely. I think as soon as I started playing for Ireland, you start thinking you want to play in a major tournament, and I think it was always going to be the breakthrough moment for women's football in this country. So it's just amazing how it all kind of happened. Obviously, came second in the group, the game against Finland, and then the away game against Slovakia, and then obviously the playoff against Scotland. And we still didn't know on that day if we won. We got to the direct playoff. If we won that day, would we go straight through? And other results went our way. So it was just kind of hard to believe, and it feels like it's just meant to be.
Mm-hmm. Lisa, just put into context the scale of the achievement achieved by these girls.
Oh, listen, it's amazing. I remember when I was 12 and the Republic of Ireland qualified, the men's team qualified for Euro 88. And for anyone who remembers that time, it was, the whole country just went absolutely nuts. It's the only way I can describe it. And, you know, Ireland were in a tough group. You know, the opening game was against England, I mean, of all the teams to play. And then Ireland go and beat them 1-0. And it was just incredible because it didn't just have an impact for people who loved sport, it made an impact on the whole country, and Irish people started to believe they could be more than they had ever maybe thought about before. And I just loved, and it's such a special moment because I think it really changed our whole society that when Ireland qualified, and then 2 years later they qualified for the World Cup in 1990. And I think, you know, as a girl growing up then, I remember I loved football, and it was the only thing I ever wanted to do. But I distinctly remember looking at it and going, I've never seen a woman or a girl in football on TV, on the sidelines, playing in stadiums. And I actually went through a process where I was going, I actually wished I'd been a boy, because I loved football that much, and I just didn't see how it would be possible. And that's what these girls have changed, that, because there's little girls here today and all over the country who've been inspired, and little boys as well. And I think that's probably going to be the longest lasting legacy of what these girls, and like you fought for a lot, you know, it wasn't just about qualifying. You achieved a lot more for women, and in not just football but in sport in general. And that's why I think the impact of this will be really, really long lasting, because they won't just inspire a generation of young Irish footballers, they're going to inspire a whole country, I've no doubt about it.
As players, Áine, though, are you aware of that impact? Do you see it?
Yeah, I think as players we always knew that we had a responsibility to be role models in the way after 2018 and the threat to strike and looking for better conditions. In a way, we probably put that pressure back on ourselves then, that we had to be successful and achieve more. And I think we've thrived in that, under that pressure, and getting crowds into Tallaght Stadium. I think we just relish them occasions now, and look where obviously the improved conditions have gotten us as well. We always believed that we could do it, and we're kind of frustrated that we weren't given that platform to perform. And hopefully that will just improve things, which it already has for the young players coming through. There's 2 girls came over to me already tonight, Holly and another girl that plays out in Stepaside as well. And it's just obviously great to see, and that means just as much to me personally as it does going to the World Cup.
What way has Verapauw, has she changed you all as players and as people?
Yeah, I think there's just more of a belief amongst the squad, a belief that wasn't there before, that we were capable of this. We're a very talented bunch of players, a lot of players playing across the water in England, and Denise O'Sullivan in America. I think we've a way of playing, we know our style of play, every player goes out on the pitch, knows their task. So I think that's been the recipe for success. Look how few goals we've conceded throughout the campaign, and I think that'll be the focus going forward. Obviously we'll stick to the same process and just focus on the areas that we can improve, and really looking forward to that opening game against Australia, obviously going in as underdogs in an 80,000 hopefully seater stadium, and look, we're just gonna enjoy the occasion.
Because the good times are over in a way that we've spoke about it now. It's down to brass tacks. Now it's getting massive preparations for this. Lisa, you've been involved in the Men's World Cup. So in a practical level then, what should we expect that the girls will be doing now over the next while?
I think there's one job you wouldn't want right now, it'd be Verapauw's, because she's going to have some task picking that squad of 23. You think of the players that started the campaign, there was players who got injured, who weren't on the pitch and in the squad at the end of the campaign, but they're all coming back to fitness now. And I think, you know, I'm sure every one of you are aware of the competition for places, young players that are putting their hands up during the campaign that will fancy a seat on the plane as well. And it's about, you know, training, doing all the good things, you know, you're eating, you're sleeping, because like I said, it's going to be extremely competitive to get into the squad, and that's really good for Ireland, you know, because there's so much talent coming through, and you know, there's incredible work going on at grassroots level and across all the clubs in the country, you know, coaches who are volunteers and people in clubs who are volunteers and giving their time to develop these players, and it must be so, give them great pride to see these players now going on to the world stage. But you know, I think for players, you're really focused, you're getting your fitness up, you're playing your games, focusing on your club and doing everything to make sure that when that final sheet is being, and the names are being filled in on it, that your name is on it. But it will be really competitive, and I think that'll be really good actually for the Women's National League this year. I think that will add another edge to it as well, because I think everyone will know they're being looked at, and so I think the Women's National League is going to be phenomenal this year as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think look, anyone involved in women's football that's been on the fringes, and especially I think like Lisa mentioned, we had such a big squad, and that's obviously one of the things, strengths of era as well, that everyone was prepared. Like I hadn't played a game since the Slovakia home game, and I played in the playoff against Scotland, and I was ready on the day. And you just look at that, and only 23 players will be in the squad in Australia. Sometimes we bring away 26, 27 players to games in the qualifier. So look, it's going to be hugely competitive. I think the Women's National League is going to be really exciting. Obviously, like I've moved over to Shamrock Rovers. I think the whole standard of the league is just going to rise and piggyback on the success of the Women's National team. Sorry.
So when you head off, you mentioned Ireland will be underdogs in this group. Like, it's a tough group. But what does success look like for you, Áine, in this World Cup?
Winning the World Cup. Yeah. Look, I think obviously one game at a time, and if you get out of the group into the knockouts, and we take it game by game. And look, I think we're very, very capable. There's going to be no easy groups when you get to the World Cup, and just focusing on that opening game and the preparation to get us there at the moment.
For you, Lisa, what is success for Ireland?
I think the fact that Ireland are there, and not just the team are there. I think Michelle O'Neill is here tonight as well, and she's an Irish referee, and she's going to be there as well. And you know, we're represented all the way through, which I think is brilliant. But I think, you know, the team, just listening to Áine, like she says there, what does success look like, winning the World Cup? I know she means that, and I think that's one of the things that's brilliant about this, is the change in the mindset. It's not about, oh look, we'll just go and we'll see how we get on, and you know, it's a very tough group, making excuses before you even go. You don't get that from this team. You know, they're taking it game by game. The belief is there. They know. I mean, beat Australia in a friendly in Tallaght Stadium not that long ago, last year, the year before. So they know they can beat Australia, and that was a strong Australian team that played that day. So there's nothing to fear. You get your performance right on the day and you can beat anybody, and they know it. And they're going to have incredible support over there. They could potentially be the best supported team in the World Cup, and I don't doubt that for a second. They're already talking about changing the stadium because, you know, it's sold out so quickly. So, but that's the impact that they'll have. But they'll be really, I know they'll be really focused and ready for it, and take one game at a time. It is a cliche, but if you do it like that, similar to what Amy said about one fight at a time, you know, just do your job on the day and let the rest, it'll take you to where it's meant to take you then.
Does your mindset have to change on you? Is it a different way of approaching this? It's a World Cup. It's something that I've strived for so long to be there. Or are people making it bigger than it actually is? And what I mean by your mindset is that because it's one day time, you haven't made this preparation before. Does that change how you approach this game?
I don't think so. I think we stick to the process, what's worked for us in the World Cup qualifiers to get us to the World Cup. Obviously, we have to fine-tune certain areas, and as a team and individually as well, we'll all have had individual meetings with Vera and be focusing on them as well. So, yeah, look, I know it is a cliche, and I'd be very task-driven, stay in the moment, play in the moment. Like, obviously, we went out in that Scotland game, high-pressure game, played the game against Ukraine in the European Championship to qualify for the Euros the year before. We learned a lot from that high-pressure game. I obviously put the ball in my own net, and look, we bounced back from that. And I think that's shown great character. And ironically, you talk about the Australia game. For me, that was the turning point for the team. It came off the back of the equal pay stand. Again, you talk about pressure, more pressure, putting back on ourselves again. So look, I think it is just stick to the process. Like, I go back to the Scotland game, I know I said it already. But look, I hadn't played in a long time. If we had lost that game, probably never would have played for Ireland again. You go out, focus on your tasks, stay in the moment, and the rest take care of yourself.
Just, we've mentioned a few times there about 2017 and looking for fairness and respect. And 2017 isn't that long ago, really, when you think about it. There were very dark days for Irish sport, Lisa, and just for the girls having to go and do that. But everyone is supporting this team. From where we're looking at, there's a massive goodwill towards them. But has enough been done in the intervening years towards women's football in this country, do you think?
I feel really strongly about it. I think there's every girl should have the same access to the same facilities, the same resources and same standard of coaching and same amount of coaching time in every club as every boy of the same age. And every club can do that. You don't need money, you just do that. So no under-8 boy should be getting more than any under-8 girl, and the same all the way up to senior level. And I think that's, if you can change that in your club, you can change a lot. And I think what's really good about this team, the battle that they fought, what they've also done with that is shown that when you do get the right investment and when you do get access to the same resources and all the rest of it, the difference it makes. And you can go and achieve then. And I mean, I think for many, many years in Ireland, Irish women and Irish sports people, sportswomen have achieved despite the funding they got and despite the resources they got. And now when they get them, and I think we've seen in the last 2 years, you know, the way Irish sportswomen and athletes and coaches are developing and changing the game and achieving on the world stage is a vindication of that process. And I think it's really important that, you know, I think sometimes we settle too much for crumbs and we're grateful for too little. And I think we have to change that. And we shouldn't be ashamed, or we shouldn't be hiding behind ourselves to say, no, it should be the same. It should be the same, at least. And I think we're getting there, and I think there's a lot more to be done, but I think we're gone beyond the time of any excuses. Irish girls and Irish women who are into sports deserve exactly the same as the lads, and you look and you'll see, you know, the success that's happening now. We're going to get even more. And I think what I love as well is I think the young girls today now are not afraid to ask for it because they see it, where we might have been a little bit more timid and that, but it is changing and it's amazing. You know, and I think if everyone rows in together, men are allies for women and women are allies for women, and if we do it together, I think we can achieve so much more. And I think that's the real land shift that we're starting to see in the last couple of years.
Áine, are you happy what has been achieved over the past number of years? Or is there still a lot more room for improvement?
Look, I think we're always going to be looking to improve standards. Certainly there has been many improvements, conditions. I even see it in the Women's National League teams and looking for equality. And my own club in Enniskerry, where I grew up playing football, I would have grew up playing football with the boys, and I loved playing football with the boys, and I think it stands to me later on in my career. I think there's probably as many, if not more, girls teams now than there is boys teams, so that shows progress to me. And like Lisa said, it's getting access to good coaching, good structures, and it's changing all the time, but I think there's still a little bit of work to do.
Going to leave the final word with you. What is the most exciting thing you're looking forward to in the World Cup?
The opening game against Australia.
We will leave it there. Áine, we wish you every success. As you know, you can hear the sound here. Everybody watching, the whole country and all the Irish around the world are wishing you all the very, very best of luck. Enjoy it all. Lisa and Áine, Gormila Maigid of Edlin.